Okay, now we are live. Hello, YouTube. Hello, world.
Now we are live. Take 2 of our podcast this week.
Should I do like a little share or something? What is it you kids do these days? You share it. What are you doing? Sharing to Bebo and all that?
Well, I've just tweeted.
Oh, look at me. I'm on Twitter.
Oh, look. Oh,
do you know what? Screw you, Twitter. Right, I logged on. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, innit? Finale.
no.
Logged on. Sidebar. Trending. Sharon Carter. What?
Oh.
Why? Screw you, Twitter.
Screw all of you. Screw you in the mouth.
Yeah.
Basically. That's a bit harsh.
Yep. And talk. Shall we do Star Wars live? I'm just going to do that. That's all that now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's easy, isn't it?
Anyway, where were we? Hello, streaming people, you beautiful people. Don't get this on a Saturday morning, do you, when you're doing it on solo? It's all like planned and all that. Well, but with us, a little bit more way, a little bit more whoa, isn't it?
I guess you could say that.
Easy.
What's that from? Right. A little bit weird, a little bit What's that
It's a little bit weird, a little bit whoa, isn't it? Paul Whitehouse, Fast Show.
Well, Wild the Fast Show, of course. Classic.
Because it's a little bit weird. It's a little bit whoa. You missed the 90s.
Oh, the 90s. Oh, it was brilliant, that. It was brilliant.
It brilliant. You can go on holiday, right? And you get on a plane and you don't have to work for 2 whole weeks. Isn't it brilliant, that?
Oh, that 2 whole weeks. Isn't it brilliant?
In Milk Brill.
The UK TV from the 90s, eh? Can't beat it.
Comedy from the 90s was like pretty strong stuff because you could get away with a lot more than you can now, but it wasn't like that Neanderthal stuff from like the 70s. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like that very crass stuff. It was had a little bit of tang to it, but it wasn't nothing offensive, is it? 'Cause it's nothing.
Yeah, it was approaching the line. It didn't cross it.
That's it.
Most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Shall we record?
Anyway, I've got this all recorded, by the way. Might put it in this week's show.
Oh, you're recording it onto the old Rodecaster?
It'll be brilliant. Yeah, I've got the Rodecaster Pro from Rode Microphones. Sure. Not sponsored. Not sponsored.
Is that the one with the AFX on board, yeah? Class A servo-based bias preamps. That's the one, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. The AFX Big Bottom and Oral Exciter, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Easy, isn't it? All right, I'll record then.
Let's do it. Hello there and welcome to Spark of Rebellion. This is your weekly Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 103. Another week we've blasted past episode 100 and now we're looking forward to episode 200, which will be just around the corner, I'm sure. My name's Gary, one of your hosts. It's good to have you here as always. And joining me in the co-pilot seat is the dude that, although he's had his hair cut recently, he's now gone back to rocking a hat. Does it the wrong way round. He has his hair messy with no hat. And now he's had his haircut and he lives in a hat. So that's the logic that we're dealing with here, people. So anyway, Mr. Marky Mark, how you doing, buddy?
Well, if you're watching the live stream, what you'll see is I've got a 90s curtains vibe going on. So what happened this morning, the reason I got my hat on, is that I dried my hair, but with a parting in the middle by accident. And I've got a few video calls and stuff today. So I was like, what's going on there? Didn't want to get in the shower again. Didn't want to wet the old hair. I'm not at Mad Jeff's Barbers in Darfield anymore. And I had to put the hat on, didn't I? So, yes, it is a little bit backwards, but that's all right. We can live with that. I'm all right, thanks, dude. I'm all right. And before we get into anything, I want to give a shout out to Roger and Pascal, who listen to the show. I mean, Pascal and Denise do. They're supporters of ours on Patreon. And Pascal and Roger do a weekly marketing show over on YouTube, and it's a podcast as well. And they gave us a shout out as creators that inspire them. So thank you for that, you two fine people. And Pascal and Denise, I know you'll be listening Saturday morning, so I hope you're having a nice Saturday. I hope the weather's all right and I hope you're doing well. Thank you for the shout out. So that's like, awesome. You know, on radio, I used to feel so cheated. So you'd listen to Philip Schofield, or like CBBC, right? You'd listen to Philip Schofield. Someone had called him from the school, right? And every now and again, it was someone from your school. And here we are on CBBS, and we've got Louise from Darfield Upwood Primary School. What are you here to say, Louise? Can I just give a shout out to my mum and my dad? You just did. Goodbye, Louise. And you're like, what? That was... No, I didn't. That was a question. God.
That's how it went, man. That's how it went. Yep.
That was so bad.
They used to encourage that as well, didn't they? They used to say, is there anybody you want to say hello to? Yeah, I just want to say hello to my dad and my cousin who's come over with chips. It was all the rage, wasn't it? Yep.
And then they'd yank it. They'd be like, you just did. And you're like, what?
Yeah. Swept you take the rug from under your feet just when you think you're in a groove.
Yeah.
I yank it. Yeah.
Get back in your broom cupboard, Philip. I remember in your Gordon the Gopher days. Don't be doing that to people.
Yeah, old Phil. Pull yourself together. What's the matter with you? Yeah.
Do you know what I liked about that was the mild Irish that came out then?
Well, he is Irish, right? That's why I did it.
Is he?
No? Okay.
I'm going to have to Google that now. You just fill in if you want. You know, you're leading the show today, so I mean, you do what you want to do. I'm going to do this Googling stuff.
Cool. Yeah. While Mark is looking up some information about Phil Schofield, sounds dodgy.
He's from Lancashire.
If you are listening on the podcast, as I said, it's good to have you here. If you're watching live on YouTube, then also thank you for joining. It's all good. Episode 103. Before we crack on with the show, and I've got some cool news to go through before we get back to our regular random spotlight, which seems to have made a comeback, which is good. We've got some news around Darth Revan, and is Disney potentially bringing him back into canon from the old days? We've got some Lego news, we've got some Disney Plus news, and we've got some ridiculous news, as always, from the likes of certain YouTubers, which we'll get onto.
I'm glad you said that, because when I read this piece, right, and I know we'll get to it, right, but here's what happened. Saw it on the Google, on the news, right, looked at the title, I was like, here we go, right, clicked on it, said the name of the outlet, I was like, here we go, right, it's going to scroll down, and I guarantee one of two names is going to be in this article. Sure enough, I can't
you can
wait
bet
to
your
get
house
to it.
on it, mate. You can bet your house on it.
In
now.
it.
Yep.
In it.
Yes. Before we crack on, we would love to have you as a follower on whatever podcast app you get your podcasts on. Listen for free. All the popular ones. There are links to our to all those apps on our website, which is sparkofrebellion.com. Link off to those, or you can listen to the episodes on that website. It's all good. We're on the socials too: Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Do a search for Spark of Rebellion. You'll find us on there. We chat Star Wars throughout the week. And if you like what we do here and you want to support the show, then you can do that over on Patreon, which is patreon.com/Spark of Rebellion. Jump on from $1 upwards. Get yourself some swag. I promise I'm almost done. I've got 3 or 4 new stickers almost done. I'm just refining them at the moment. They'll be available soon. And we'll get those out to peeps and to new patrons. So go and check that out. First bit of news, dude. Old Revan, Darth Revan, who we know is the Sith Lord, who wasn't a Sith Lord, then became one, then he wasn't one again. If you know the backstory of Revan. He was ditched, wasn't he? It was a bit of a fallout when Disney picked things up. They were like, nah, we'll stick him in the Legends bucket. He's all right over there. We don't need to do too much with that. Well, it appears that they've dropped the odd nugget of info about Revan throughout some films and some books that might indicate that he's coming back into canon, or is back into canon, depending on how you look at it. So back when the Force Awakens, The Last Jedi came out, we had the scene with Luke on Act 2, and we saw him with all of his little collectibles. He's got a bit of a sideshow wannabe thing going on. He's got all his little trinkets. He's got his little trinkets and stuff there. And one of the things that he had was a pendant of a broken Sith lightsaber crystal. And if you check out the book that accompanies the film, The Last Jedi Visual Dictionary, that describes the pendant as belonging to a Jedi Crusader. And those, as I said, who know the backstory of Revan, he was referred to as the Jedi Crusader. So there's a little nugget there. And then we fast forward in time to some of the comics and the Darth Vader comic and so on. And there's some stuff around there. But then probably the most obvious bit is The Rise of Skywalker, where we're on Exegol. There was a bit that was cut from the film, but there's a scene where they show some more details about the temple and all that stuff. And on some carvings and glyphs in the wall, there is clearly Darth Revan etched into the wall with some other Sith Lords. We also see Darth Revan, Darth, what's his face? Nihilus, Malak, and Tuluk Hord, those guys are all in there in the carving. So that suggests to me, dude, that even though the scene was cut, this was made for the film. So, yeah, man, Darth Revan could be making a bit of a comeback and has kind of got his foot in the door already, it looks like.
Yeah, man, I think it's, the legend stuff, I think was, we all know it was only binned because of not wanting to box people in when it came to the new films. That was a very clear thing that I think anyone would have had to do. Because, if you create brand new films that exist alongside legends, you're sort of boxed into this storytelling. And if you're not boxed into the storytelling, then you kind of piss off everyone that are into legends. So I sort of get it. And the reason I say that is that it's clearly not because those things weren't very good. We've seen Darth Bane pop up in the Clone Wars when Yoda went on his pilgrimage. We've even got names in that list that you just mentioned, like Darth Tenebris, who was he? I can't remember. Was he? What's his name? What's his name? The guy that trained Palpatine. Forget his bloody name now. Darth Plagueis. Was Tenebris his master? I can't remember.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I thought so. So these characters are not. They're not being binned off because they're not interesting characters. And I think what they've done with Thrawn is testament to the fact that Lucasfilm and Disney still believes in this. And why make new characters up of that ilk? All the Mara Jade and all that sort of stuff's a little different because of the ties to Luke. But these sort of high-class, high-named villains and people that don't necessarily interact with the day-to-day Skywalkers, these can easily be brought back in some way or form. It's sort of a no-brainer to do it. I think it's almost a given that something like this will happen for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. And I think they have tried to bring him back a couple of times outside of his main appearance, which was Knights of the Old Republic, the video game. I think they have tried to pop him up in some other things. I know there was a deleted scene from the Clone Wars. I think it was one of the Mortis stories, and he's in that. Ghosts of Mortis, I think that one.
Yeah,
so he pops up in, but then they chopped it. So that's interesting. But yeah, it feels like they're dropping little nuggets here and there. I don't think we're in for a massive reveal or anything like that. We're not going to have a Darth Revan movie. Actually, that's it, dude. That's the next video from Zero or Dimcock. It's coming.
And it'll be titled something like, and I guarantee this is like what the title will be. I say guarantee in the most tongue-in-cheek, absolutely don't guarantee it way at all. But at least we own that, don't we? At least we say that this is not true. But anyway, the title is going to be something like, Why Darth Revan is the person that's camped out on Kathleen Kennedy's front porch and why she is trying to get a restraining order against him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost like, they report in that style as well.
It's all that, innit? It's all that now.
Strange, yeah. Yeah, it's almost like they want to appear legit, so they come across with that authoritative kind of journalism style of, even though it's complete bollocks, it's like, and that remains to be seen.
Yeah, if we say it in this voice.
We have the little stinger thing, and they move on to another story. It's hilarious. But yeah.
Yeah. And coming up in news, why ObiWan Kenobi is actually going to be fired from all sci-fi and erased from history. New edit of A New Hope to account for this coming in 2023. Obi-Wan will be recast with a lamppost. So that's all happening.
Do you know what would be really funny if they had a little, on some of those old adverts, I think they were mainly, our US friends, but those American adverts from back in the day where they would reel off the terms and conditions really quickly at the end in that kind of legit legal voice, but it was really funny. They should do that at the end of the video. Like, all events in this video are subject to change and to be taken with a pinch of salt.
Definitely shouldn't. They should all start with everything depicted in this video is completely made up, and I thought about it last night because I need a brand new video for my YouTube channel that comes out every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Hit like and smash subscribe right now. Remember, do never, ever, ever quote me unless you're the Express.
Exactly. Oh man, or even just a simple, the following events are based on untrue events.
They could really just go down. The following events are based on jack shit.
Yeah.
All people named in this article are made up. I just completely own it as bullshit.
Yeah, just take control of the bullshit. That's all you got to do. Yeah, because then you won't look so stupid when all of the theories just collapse. It's you look all right then. And then the ones that do come to fruition, you can be like, told you.
Yeah,
Told you I was on that one.
out of 1,000. Yeah, told you. Credibility. Welcome to Credibility Street, people.
Oh, I love it. Love it. Anyway, the next bit of news, dude. Talking of certain YouTubers, Mike Zero, he's at it again.
Oh,
the link is brilliant. Here we are, Mike Zero. He says, well, does he say, or one of his sources, whoever that might be? I don't know. Apparently, it's another one of those reboot things. So Star Wars is being rebooted. So all the other videos that these guys do about the reboot, they don't believe that anymore. This is the real one. And this time it's real, right? This is the real quiz, right?
It's the real quiz, though.
He's going to lob his shoes over the building. So Mike Zero has said that coming to Disney Plus is going to be an animated feature, which is going to retcon all of Rise of Skywalker, and is going to focus. It's going to be focused on Rey and her events that have happened after the Rise of Skywalker. But they're going to go back and do some backstory stuff and all that lot. But here's the twist: Daisy Ridley has said no. Of course, yes, and it's now going to be an animated thing. So Keira Knightley is now Rey Skywalker, and she's going to be the voice of Rey in the animated show. And I can't even read the rest of it, mate. I can't even go on. I can't do it.
There's so much hilarity with this one. The first one is, Daisy Ridley, who, to her credit, she's been in some great films and she's a great actress. But Keira Knightley's dear, man. She's expensive. Do you know what I mean? It's Keira freaking Knightley. You know what I'm saying? She don't turn up to anything. She's quite picky these days. Second thing, let's take that $1 billion movie and retcon it with an animated series on our streaming channel. So not compliment it, but retcon it with complimentary stuff. I get Falcon Winter Soldier, even the Resistance stuff, the Rebel stuff, the Clone War stuff, but to retcon it using an animated series. So I think even the Express is starting to get a bit miffed with this, but this kid that's published it, Callum, he's obviously he needs something to publish, I guess, because what's gone on here is they've even started throwing shade a little bit, right? So the opening for this is Star Wars reboot, Daisy Ridley replaced as Rey Skywalker by Keira Knightley, right? Then the byline underneath it, the intro paragraph, Star Wars, a leaker, in air quotes, leaker. The word leaker is now in quotes, all right? Because they don't believe it anymore. They just need something to report on. So you get through this article, right? A little bit further down. Underneath the Michael Jackson armband and the Elvis Presley photo shared by his ex-girlfriend, Linda Thompson, what you end up with is, the information Zero revealed ought to be taken with a grain of salt, however, as not every piece of Star Wars intel provided has been 100% correct. So yeah, even on the, Zero's even getting shade from the Express, who is taking his stories for clickbait. You know what I mean? What a world.
It's it's almost a weird paradox, isn't it? Where you've got a media outlet, a tabloid website who's reporting on a leaker, saying that leaker should be taken with a grain of salt. It's like, what world do we live in, man? It's crazy.
Welcome to K21.
Yeah. I don't want to go through the rest of it, mate, because it's all BS, man. It's all crazy. But will this be one of the stories that was correct? And I wonder what's going to happen. Mike Zero or Doomcock, are they going to host an event like an I Told You So event where this could be the one? But I doubt it, mate. This is a bit...
I kind of hope so. I'd be all right with that if you just did a Told You So event. I'd be the first time I end up and say, fair play. Fair chuffing play. But you know what's happened, don't you? Bear in mind, she was in episode 1 as well. Everyone knows Keira Knightley was in episode 1. So, but they've clearly just gone, English actress with a good bone structure. Kate Winslet, she can't do it because she's busy. And maybe she don't really look like Daisy Ridley. Who else can we get? Well, Olivia Colman, she's busy on the old Crown these days. Right, Keira Knightley it is, because she says it shares a similar bone structure and accent. That's it. That is literally the backup of the story. In my view, that is where that's come from.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And even the headline actually is a bit assumptive. Says Daisy Ridley replaced as Rey Skywalker by Keira Knightley. That's not true at all. No one's replacing anyone at this point. Yeah. I mean, I do agree that I don't think Daisy Ridley, I don't think she's in any rush to come back. I think she wants to have a bit of a break from, pretending to be a Skywalker. But
I've seen it.
Oh,
it's here. This is what we needed. This is what you should always look for in these kind of things. To quote, he said in a video which was released earlier this month, Daisy will be replaced as Rey Skywalker in the planned sequel series. Was it a reboot or a sequel? Where Lucasfilm has chosen Keira Knightley to lend her voiceover work and facial scans to portray the character of Rey in animated form, right? And this is the kicker, because this could not be included knowing these guys. Daisy wants nothing to do with Star Wars anymore since she herself had issues with Kathleen Kennedy.
There we go.
What? But they never say what issues, do they? And if they do, it's all hyperbolic. Oh my God. Yeah. It's toxic, man.
Of course it is, yeah. I mean, what issue is like you left the tea bag in too long?
Yeah, I mean...
It could be that. I mean...
me off.
You don't mess with a brew.
No.
So I'm not surprised.
Putting the milk in too soon, dude.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, man. Daisy Ridley, she's a Brit. She appreciates the proper cup of tea. Kathleen Kennedy's like 3 seconds in. Or even she put the milk in. Oh, God, she might have put the milk in first. God.
Nah. There's only my grandma that can get away with that, because somehow my grandma's China cups maintain a good quality cup of tea, even with milk in first. And normally, I wouldn't be going down to see her. I'd be like, Grandma, I'm out. But for some reason, it's still nice tea. Anyway, this is just absolute crap, innit?
It is. It is crap. And because of that, we're going to move on. We have got some official Disney Plus news to cover, which is good. So Andor, which has been in production very slowly, ramping up over the last couple of months. We now have some set pictures that proves that something legit from Disney Plus is actually being made. So the guy that got fired for doing the ObiWan Kenobi set video, that we spoke about that a week or two ago. Now we've got another one. This is in Essex in the UK. This is one of the oil refineries over there. I think it's called Corringham Oil Refinery over in Essex. And they've set up this huge set there. They're making the most of everything. And yeah, you can see some really good photos. Actually, they've got a load of the trailers around there. They've got huge, massive green screen panels that are up on cranes so that they can presumably fill that in with space or aircraft of some sort. Spaceships, that's what they're called, and that sort of thing. So although this is not meant to drop until next year, it's good that they're over there doing all the set stuff. And interestingly enough, they're not doing this on the volume, the huge livable soundstage that they did with the Mandalorian. So that's interesting. But at least this time, dude, we're reporting on actual photos of an actual thing, which is good.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's nice to see this starting to go into a little bit of progression as well, because it's one of those things, this Andor series that have been put out there such a long time ago, and there's been so much happened since, and we've not really had that much news. It's sort of one of those that's gone on, like the Hawkeye thing, on Disney Plus as well. Like Jeremy Renner said yesterday, it had wrapped filming. I was like, oh crap, I forgot about that. Because you don't really hear much about it. It's just one of those. It sort of goes under the radar, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. A lot of these things that go under the radar end up being some of the best things because they've not been spoiled. They've not been, there's not been that much said about them. So you're kind of pleasantly surprised. So we'll see on that one. I mean, I don't know. Do you think this Cassian Andor name, this Andor, do you think whoever pitched that was just like, look, we've got two ideas for this guy. It's Cassian Smith or Cassian Jones. And the director just went, Andor, doesn't matter. And he was like, all right, we'll go with that if you want, boss. Total miscommunication. And then here we are, 5 years in. We're getting a series. And probably the domains were available as well, so you got to look for that.
Yeah, I like that, dude. Nice little, I see what you did there.
It's a ditty.
And I like it. It's Andor. What if he was called either or? Cassian Andor. Well, I don't know. But yeah.
Cassian either or.
Cassian either or, yeah.
Sounds like a Viking. Oh, Cassian either or.
Come on. What's the character's name? Cassian. And?
Oh. Yeah, we like that.
And what does Cassian do? Works in a warehouse. Doing what?
No, we need him to be a rebel. All right, works in the rebel warehouse.
Just general warehousing in the warehouse. Crikey,
Who is
mate.
this Cassian? I've never heard of him.
He never existed, did he? Well, you backed me into a corner. Right, that's Cassian Andor. It's legit. It's happening, which is really good because
Have we got a release date on that? Sorry to interrupt you. We got a release date on that?
No, it's just sometime next year. 12 episodes long, though. So already beating out Obi-Wan with the old runtime. But the good thing is that when we had Obi-Wan in production, remember the whole script saga, like people weren't feeling it and they pulled it for a while and cancelled it. Then it was back. And so it looks like it's not suffering, with the same sort of things that Obi-Wan went through. It seems like it's rolling, which is good. Moving on to some video game news. Knights of the Old Republic, which we spoke about briefly with Darth Revan, is defo happening, dude. And when I say defo happening, I mean the remake of KOTOR, which is really good because it's still a classic. Let's not make any bones about that. It's a classic game. It's a really good RPG. Some consider it to be the best Star Wars game ever made, which I kind of agree with. The story is just so engaging, like when you get into it, because after the first 15, 20 minutes are out the way and you've established your character, the story really does sweep you away and you get to explore. And it's a really cracking game. But the problem is, although you can still buy it on various platforms, you can get it on the consoles as part of backwards compatibility. You can even get it on your phone and your iPad and stuff. There's an iOS version. It still suffers with that clunky, dated graphics, which has a certain charm, I suppose. But it's always cool when they do these remasters, and it's definitely happened. It's always been just bubbling away under the surface for years now. In fact, probably the last 6-7 years, we've had rumors knocking around. I'm surprised Zero and Doomcock haven't reported that it's happened by now, but we've had loads of stuff and rumors around it happening. But there was an interview. So you've probably heard of a guy called Jason Schreier. He used to be a video game journalist, worked for some of the big outlets, Kotaku and Eurogamer, I think, something like that. But he's very in touch with the industry still. He's very, he chats to a lot of insiders. And unlike the Doomcocks and the Zeros, he does actually have a really good track record and does actually speak to sources and stuff. And he was doing an interview on the MinMax show, and he basically said, the guy interviewing was saying, look, there's been chat around this. Is it happening or not? And Jason was like, well, actually, yeah, it's actually happening. So everyone lost their mind. And then he went on to say shortly afterwards, that it's public at this point. I've basically confirmed that Aspire, which is the company that has ported a bunch of KOTOR games, is in fact working on the remake. So, dude, it sounds like it's definitely happening. So this is really cool. Those of you that have not played KOTOR, it's a cracking game to get into, man. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, man, I'm keen for this. It's good timing for us as well, because we were talking about this the other day about like next-gen consoles and wanting to revisit some of the stuff, and there seems to be a real renaissance of people picking some of these older things up, like of our age group. So, like, as an example of that, I've been looking at Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, the Nemesis one, then the remake in Resident Evil 1, and then they're going to pick up Resident Evil 4. Like, they're making all these classic games again for next gen. And the fact that they're doing this is fantastic. So I've been wanting to get it, and it's been the graphics that puts me off, because as much as I love playing the games, I'm like, I've sort of got a bit, like, it's got a bit of a shelf life for me, because I get put off by the graphics after like an hour of it. So this is really good news, man. I'm really looking forward to being able to take advantage of these. Some of the older classic games that are coming out across the board, and just really letting them loose a little bit on the next gen. I'm really in for this sort of stuff at the minute, dude. Because they're never that expensive either. Like Resi Evils, I think 2 and 3 are like 20 quid each. You can get them even cheaper from CEX, obviously, but I think even new, they're not that expensive. So this is great stuff, man. And I'm hoping, I don't know if it will do with the licensing, but there's a lot of Star Wars stuff. I don't think it's EA, is it, obviously, but maybe it'll end up on Game Pass somehow, some way. That'd be the ideal, but probably not. But yeah, it's almost a no-brainer, isn't it, to pick this up?
Oh, defo, mate. Defo a no-brainer. And I wonder if they'll go down the road of making it like a dual graphics engine thing, like they did with the Halo 1 and 2. Where you just smash a button and then instantly you're in like the old graphics. So for the purists and the guys that appreciate the old nostalgia point of view, you can still play it that way. But for us dudes that want to, experience it in a bit more of a modern light, you can play it through that way. So I wonder, could be interesting though. So yeah, that's coming. We have no idea when. That's probably going to be, I would say, at least a year out. I would say.
Yeah, it's got to be on it.
Yeah, so it's probably not round the corner, but at least we know it's being worked on, and that's no guarantee still. But at least we know that it's worked on, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it will come to fruition, which is very cool.
Do you think they'll be? Do you think they'll do anything with the? Sorry, do you think they'll do anything with the canon on that one, and just say, like, oh yeah, this is canon now, or do you think that's just it's just look, we're remaking the game, that's it, it's standalone?
Yeah, I think the second
makes more sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yes, because I'm getting sick and tired of waiting for the new Lego Skywalker Saga game, dude.
I know.
I'm sure that was delayed, again. I'm sure it was meant to be out next month.
Yeah, it was.
Something has been pushed back again. Yeah. Assholes.
Let's have a quick look at when that is. It has been delayed again. It was supposed to be October, wasn't it? But yeah, it's been delayed again a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it's meant to be spring this year, I think.
Yeah, it's been pushed a few times.
Yeah,
because it was going to be last year before Christmas, wasn't it? And then, like you said, spring, and then only 2 weeks ago or so, it was pushed again. Yeah, it's a shame, innit, man?
Yeah, I say assholes in jest, of course. Yeah, I appreciate how hard video game devs and designers work. It's tough, man. It's tough.
Big job, innit?
Yeah. Last bit of news then before the random spotlight. You know that we love Lego here on the show. Mark likes Lego. If you're watching on YouTube, have a look behind. You can see a couple of bits of Lego knocking around. New R2-D2's on the way, dude. We've got a new set. We've had a few of these from Lego over the years, obviously. And on May the 1st, we have a new set. If you want the code, I'll give it to you. 75308. That's the one you're looking for, the brand new R2-D2. Just over 2,000 pieces. And on the Brick Fanatics website, which is kind of cool. They cover a lot of Lego stuff, and I imagine you'll be able to see these soon on lego.com. They've put a bunch of photos, some really big ones. And yeah, this is not as tiny. This is really weird because all those other helmets that we spoke about on a couple of weeks ago, I thought they would be a lot larger. And then for some reason, I thought this would be a lot smaller, but it's bigger than what I thought it was going to be. So that's all good. And yeah, it looks pretty detailed, actually. 2,000 bricks just over, and it comes with a very cool little display sign as well. I think it's one of the only few sets this year that are going to have the Lucasfilm 50th anniversary badge on the stand, which looks pretty cool. So yeah, I like this, dude. How much do these sets normally go through? This is going to be 100 quid, isn't it? Roughly, I reckon.
I'd say probably more than that with the size of it, dude. If you think about the helmets, they're 50 quid, 55 quid new when they first come out. So I'd say maybe 120, 130 because it is a chunk, man. It's a big beast. I read a couple of reviews on this as well in that apparently it's a bit more complex. It's sort of just got because it's got the lightsaber and stuff inside it. And apparently it's just got just enough Lego Technic in there to make it a bit more challenging than the standard. But I've got to be honest, man, I've got my eye on a few of these. I'm debating. I sort of want to get those two helmets because I've got the other three in a display case. I sort of want to get another one. Get the Vader and the Scout Trooper one. But I'm thinking I'll get them later. But I'm thinking about this R2 dude, and I'm thinking about the Mos Eisley Cantina set.
Oh, still? Yeah.
Yeah, I've been looking at it again. I've got a little, you can see over there behind if you're looking on the live stream, I've got this kind of shelf that I'm redoing, this one.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking it'd look pretty sweet on there.
Oh, it would, man. Yeah, yeah.
So I'm thinking about doing that and then move little Grogu. Probably get him up there. Move Anakin up. We'll see. But yeah, I'm thinking about a couple of these, man. But this R2 looks badass. And one of the reviews also said that the apparently the internals are the real key to this one. And some of the diagrams aren't quite as good as Lego normally is. Some of the angles, because of the way you got to construct things at a bizarre angle to support the dome and all that. Apparently, the instructions aren't quite as clear as a lot of the other Legos. Okay. But it looks beaut, dude. It looks brilliant.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, the colours on it are fantastic.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Oh, they've nailed the colours because the white bricks are not white. They're kind of just slightly off-white, which you'd expect, and the blues bang on. And even the little trunk, the cable trunkings between his feet and his legs and, all looks bang on. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Like you, dude. Yeah, I'm with you on this one. Got my eye on this one. Well, it would probably take me about 9 months to build it, but yeah, got my eye on it. When does this drop? May 1st. Yeah. May 1st. And apparently they're doing these promotions at the moment. I think with this one, it mentions on this website that if you pick it up during the launch weekend, then you qualify for the May the 4th Star Wars weekend promo set, which is a Tatooine homestead set. So it's not very big, but you might get that thrown in depending on where you order it from. So yeah, we'll keep you updated on if one of us pick this up. Yeah, it should be good.
There's a couple of things that are, and there's a couple of extra ones that I'm kind of fancying as well, like the A-Wing. Just looking at that one as well, there's an A-Wing on a stand which looks badass. And they're giving away, I think, an Imperial shuttle if you order it as well, a little mini Imperial shuttle, which I didn't see it on the R2 one. It was on something else I was looking at. But yeah, like for the May the 4th celebrations, like you said, that opening weekend, there are a lot of incentives on this. And just we talked about the price. I've clicked through. They've got a little bit more insight on another post on Brick Fanatics. It's going to be 180 quid. And it's exclusive to Lego, so I might nip down and pick one up. I mean, I don't want to because I've got to buy doors for the house, like. But she'll not know. Sam won't know. She won't remember. Nah, she won't remember. So you're safe. You're safe. You're safe.
You got those doors for the house yet? Yeah. You just walked through one. You've not noticed.
They look very similar to the old ones. Well, and that's the secret. That's the magic, isn't it? No disruption. So
it's a seamless transition, sure. Out with the old, in with the new, but looks the same.
Looks the same. Get replete with all the mess and the paint scratches and even the old handles. I've put them back on.
You wouldn't notice, would you? You can't smell that it's a new door. And you can't smell the new wood. Well, that's your own fault.
What are you even here? Get out the door. Get out the new door.
So that's Lego. Here we go.
If she listens to this now, I'm knackered. Can't buy it.
You'll be right. You'll be right. That's Lego. And that concludes our new section, dude. We're going to bring back the, as we have done the last couple of weeks, we're rocking and rolling with the random spotlight. We brought that back, which is good. And this week, we are focusing on a certain character, which happens to be the bounty hunter, Aura Singh, indeedy. So I've chosen Aura Singh because I've been watching a ton of Clone Wars recently. As you guys know, Mark has been mocking me relentlessly every week about watching Clone Wars and stuff, but I am almost to the end. The end is in sight. So I just finished up episode 20 of series 5 at the weekend. And that then, because I'm doing the chronological watch, that leads me into season 6. That's the next one. So episode 1 of season 6. And it just blasts all the way through that. There's only 13 episodes in there. And then I'm on to series 7, which is good. But Aura Singh has popped up in a few of these episodes. And she's an interesting character because she has that kind of really badass vibe about her. And she gives not just the sort of run-of-the-mill non-Jedi characters some trouble in the Clone Wars. She also gives the Jedi some trouble as well. She's not an easy takedown. And she has a very close link to Boba Fett. She was in his company when he was killed, and then she trains Jango Fett, and she embarks on a mission. The first time we see her in the Clone Wars, she embarks on a mission for him to take out Mace Windu, which doesn't quite go to plan, and then she comes back again, and we see her in the Phantom Menace as well. She's watching the pod race. What's it called? The Bunta Eve? Is it Bunta Eve Classic? Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's watching that. So she pops up now and then. She's one of those cool characters. She's almost like Bosk from the original trilogy. She's got this cool bounty hunter vibe about her, but she's not important's not the right word. She's not in the mainstream enough that if you start talking about Star Wars characters, her name pops up a lot. But she is there at key moments, and she does have quite an important role to play, especially in the Clone Wars. And the species that she's, it's quite cool. This Paladuvan species is quite cool. She's very well suited to hand-to-hand combat, and she's got the big long fingers and stuff. So, she's pretty tasty when shit goes down. And and she's just got a real dark streak to her as well, which is really cool. So she's not full on Sith dark, but she has got a very cool dark side to her. And I just love her character in the Clone Wars. I'd love to. It's a shame that they killed her off, really, because it would have been cool to bring her back in some shape or form later on down the line. But I think she was popped off by, what's the guy's name? Tobias Beckett. He takes her out at some point. Doesn't really do too much. It wasn't an interesting big fight. I think he just pushes her over, and she ends up falling to her death. So, but it would have been cool to bring her back. But yeah, and she does. She works well with Cad Bane and all those guys, and she fits in. She's got that typical baddie feel, which is very cool. So, I like this character, dude. I like it.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. Good choice on this one. It's an interesting one because it's one of those inevitable Star Wars things, isn't it? You know, it's the ice cream container, it's the blue milk. It's one of those that we sort of talk about semi-regularly, where, you know, she just appeared in the Phantom Menace, and then people latched onto it, and then we developed it more and more as a fandom, and suddenly she's in the Clone Wars, and then she's referenced by Beckett in Solo, and it's I think it's just testament to Star Wars how they listen to the fans to a degree. Like, it's fascinating because they just ignore the fans in a lot of stuff, rightly so. That's what they're paid to do, is to write stuff better than we could. But they seem very cognizant of what the fans are really enjoying when it comes to the characters, and, you know, certainly back in the day they used to do that anyway. And it's fascinating because she did pop up in the Phantom Menace, and you're like, ooh, who's that? And then you didn't, you know, it was just, there was nothing to it. It just was what it was. And I remember watching the Clone Wars through the first time I watched it through, and just sort of thinking to myself, what a cool set of characters the bounty hunters were, because you never really got it fleshed out a little bit. You know, you never really got that much of it. And that ruthlessness of Boba Fett. And, you know, this is before we had Tamura Morrison back in The Mandalorian, this old Book of Boba Fett stuff. This was back when Boba was really just, you're supposed to know that he's a badass because he was in Empire for a bit and Return of the Jedi for a bit, and his dad was a pretty badass and did the clone thing, but you never really saw Boba do much. So when she came up in the Clone Wars, it was really interesting because I was fascinated by how there was already this like guild. This was it's a long-standing thing that Boba is just a small part of as a kid, and that's, you know, it was just a very interesting way to flesh out the story. And she's part of some of the best, in my view, some of the best kind of standalone storylines as well. Like, none of the big mythological ones like the Ghosts of Mortis or whatever, but the ones where they invade the Imperial Senate and they you know, invade all that, and like, they're pretty sweet episodes. And, you know, the audacity of it all, and Cad Bane's character, and you got Padme standing there with some senators, and you got, I don't know if Anakin's in there or someone's in there that's got a saber, and they've got to try and get the saber. Yeah. Is it Anakin that's in there, but Padme's got his lightsaber because she didn't want him to get caught with her, or something like that? It was like a weird thing going on, wasn't it, in that episode?
Yeah.
And just what a nice way to flesh out, because I think Star Wars has always got this problem in that, like, the light side and the dark side, the Jedi and the dark side wielders, the Sith or the Inquisitors or whatever, they are so big and powerful that it would be easy for the bounty hunters to be boring, because they're sort of the second rates, you know, they don't have the powers. We get it, they're nasty, they're bad guys, but Jedis can take these guys down easy, you know. So, and they didn't do that in Clone Wars. It was like, well, these guys aren't scared of Jedis. They can take Jedi down in different ways. They're very resourceful. So, yeah, man, that was one of my favorite aspects of Clone Wars, was how they handled the bounty hunters. Cad Bane and, you know, all of these people that just cropped up, and you're like, oh, okay, that's actually another facet to the universe. So, yeah, interesting, my man. Interesting.
Yeah. And I like that we've got enough time to explore some of these additional characters like the bounty hunters in something like the Clone Wars, because in Empire, we saw them lined up when Vader's hired them all to go and find the Falcon, and they look really cool. So along with Bosk and Boba Fett, we had IG-88 and Dengar, those sorts of guys. But we just didn't have enough time. That you couldn't just go off and back in the day, excuse me, they couldn't do a spin-off. They couldn't do like a bounty hunter spin-off movie. That just wasn't on the cards or anything. So we saw them for just a few seconds on screen, and you thought, oh, those guys look really cool. You know, what's going to happen with those? But then it sort of focused on Boba, and you didn't see them again. So it's very cool that they've afforded time within the Clone Wars to not just focus on Obi-Wan and Anakin, but to flesh out some of these supporting characters who come back a few times, like Aurra Sing and Cad Bane and Zero the Hutt, you know, those sorts of characters that they didn't have to. they didn't have to come back and revisit those. So yeah, very cool. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, same, man. I think what's good about stuff like that as well is, like you said, they can just create. And this is sort of why the films are so frustrating, because it's like they've got like in The Rise of Skywalker, they've created all this stuff for no reason, but when any other property in Star Wars doesn't do that. Any other property looks at what already exists and threads that, like Fennec Shand appearing in the Bad Batch. Didn't need to be Fennec. It could have been any other bounty hunter, and the plot points would have been the same. The collaborations, the relationships, they could have all been the same, but they didn't. They went, well, wait a sec, let's connect these 10-year periods or 15, 20-year periods. It's 25 years at this point, actually, between the Mando and the Bad Batch. So that's what sort of frustrates me with the films, is that, let's create Exegol. Why? We don't need to. Do you know what I mean? Let's create these Sith Eternal. Why? You don't need to do that. Like, you've got Darth Plagueis there that manipulates life and death. Like, well, that's the way you bring a Sith back, surely. So I think, I don't know, it's that things like this highlight the disjointedness between the movies and everything else. And it really is the movies and everything else, because everything else is really tight in. And I know we talked about that Skywalker biography book last week. I'm sort of, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of the way through it now. And, that's like the ultimate. It was still a bit dull to start with, but I know we'll talk about this on another episode, but the one thing it does do is it brings everything together. And, there was no need to create these other characters. There's plenty going on. So, yeah, I know it's a slight digression, but sort of frustrating when you've got these amazing characters like Aura Singh and Cad Bane and, Hondo and Akka and all these Clone Wars people that you could easily, and locations and planets. And like we talked about last week with the Starkiller base, why not just come out and say, that's Ilum? Why not just do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's strange. I think they fell into the trap of they don't want to be accused of reusing stuff, because that was probably one of the biggest criticisms of The Force Awakens. It was a bit of a remake of A New Hope. So they're fearful of settling into stuff that's already there. They feel like they have to come up with new stuff to please new Star Wars fans or even current Star Wars fans. It's like, if we just start using stuff that's been around for years, we'll be accused of not innovating the story and coming up with new stuff. So yeah, it's a bizarre old game, and it's it is a strange old thing. But yeah, just thank God, man, for people like Dave Filoni who are making these shows, and people like that who are pushing, and even Favreau to an extent with The Mandalorian, along with Filoni and stuff. Just thank God that they're around to push all of this really cool stuff and these cool characters and afford them the time and stuff. So there we are. That's Aura Singh. She takes the spotlight in the random spotlight this week. And we'll keep these random spotlights going, man. They're cool. I've enjoyed going back and diving into some stuff with these, so it's all good. And we are going to wrap there for episode 103. It's been great to have you all here, as always, watching on YouTube. It's great. And those of you listening on the podcast, welcome back. It's been good to talk through Star Wars for another week. And we've covered some cool news bits. We're trying to whittle down because we've got loads of news that we put into our list every week, but we're trying to whittle it down to the most important bits. Hopefully you guys are now up to speed with everything Star Wars, the important stuff anyway. Whether you class Mike Zero and Doomcock as important, that's another question, but it's entertaining nonetheless. For next week, for 104, it's going to be Mark driving, and I'm going to put the responsibility on him to choose the random spotlight next week. He can do whatever he wants. Yeah. Easy. So it's been good, dude. It's been good to catch up again.
Always good, my man. Yeah, good to chat Star Wars. Nice way to finish the week off. But yeah, thanks to you for listening. Thanks again to Roger and Pascal for the shout out on the show, and to Denise, as always, for listening. Plus our other patrons, of course, Tom, Sean, Dave, and the rest of the team over on Patreon. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
Indeedy, we'll see you next week. And remember, you can listen for free and follow us on whatever podcast app you get your podcast on. Make sure you do that so you don't miss a show when it lands every single Saturday. We're on the socials too. Give us a search over there, Spark of Rebellion. We chat Star Wars throughout the week. And again, just want to echo Mark. Thank you so much to our current patrons. And if you like the show and you want to support us, you can do that at patreon.com/Spark of Rebellion. We'd love to have you supporting the show. Get yourself some swag and some other perks and stuff over there. Go and check it out. We would love that. So until next week, take care of yourself and may the Force be with you always.
Goodbye, YouTube.
Goodbye.